Hey, what's up guys? It's Telly Tay checking in with another weekly edition of the Lowdown. We're here back in the Freeheel Life shop. The doors are closed for the summer, but we're still here doing some work. If you need something, our website is open 24/7. We are still shipping orders, and we have some limited availability for appointments here, but definitely transition into summer mode here. First off, I want to say thank you for such a great winter. You guys really, we felt the Telly love from everybody this year. I think the energy was high. Everybody was stoked on Telly. We know we were. Fun to see you guys out there stoked on it. Today, I wanted to touch base and maybe expand upon a couple ideas that came up with a recent podcast I did with Josh and Craig Dosty. And we were talking about equipment, and we spent the last week reviewing and testing a bunch of skis, a couple different boots, bindings, getting some review stuff for some premium versions of the Telemark skier.com that we'll be relaunching very soon. But going back and forth between all this equipment, I skied everything from NTN toe cage, meaning Outlaw, or BMF from Bishop. I skied NTN 2-pin, meaning TX Pros, Lynxes, Mejos. And I also skied T1s and Vices. This is an axle, but same idea with no tour mode. And I also skied leather boots because we celebrated our normally annual smelly knee pad last week. So got a sweet mullet and the handlebar mustache to match the outfit from the late 80s. But it was very interesting to ski, not necessarily side by side, but like I'd go 2 runs on one combination, 2 runs on the next combination, 2 runs on the other combination, and going back and forth all day. And we tried to limit that to 2 runs because the longer that I started skiing on something, I very much adapted and kind of forgot about all the differences between stuff. I think that first turn, I can feel the differences between boots and skis and bindings. And then, if I skied half a day on something, like I'm just gonna adapt and kind of figure out what's going on that. And the idea that Craig brought up was basically whatever gear you got, that's the best gear. And I think that's a true statement because whatever gear you got that gets you out on the mountain and gets you telemark skiing and dropping knees, and whether we're just trying to make the fine-tuned details on a very proficient technique, or if it's our first day and we're just trying to figure out what this new thing to us is of telemark skiing, whatever gear you got, that's the best gear for that moment. And I totally agree with that, but having skied all those other combinations of the latest and greatest and some even super retro stuff, it definitely got me thinking about and feeling like the differences in performance. And I think the best setup that I want to illustrate the differences with were the Scarpa T1 and an axle or a vise, and I was in TX comps mostly. That's my normal NTN boot. TX comps and the Outlaw X that normally lives here when we actually have them in stock. And that is like as close as you can get to very similar sensation, 75 millimeter or on the NTN platform. And with that being said, I very much noticed the differences, especially when it came to lateral edge control. Like a 75 millimeter binding being a cable system and attaching at the true heel of the boot, I think just allows that boot and binding to twist a lot this way, which is something I never really felt before I was on the NTN platform and then went back to 75 millimeter. Like it was kind of like I was just on my gear and that's the performance I had, and that's what it was. And going back and forth, it was very obvious to me that on the Vices and the T1s that I didn't have that just like last bit of like, let's turn that edge control up to like 10. And it's a totally powerful setup. I could absolutely still drive the ski I was on. I just felt like I was limiting out a little bit. So although the gear you got is certainly the best gear for that day, when it's time for upgrading, I think we need to ask ourselves, where are we looking for that performance? Like I felt when I hopped back to the NTN, I felt so much more connected to those edges and more powerful, more precise. And I really liked that sensation. I've gotten very used to being on NTN system where that edge control is just, you know, the moment I'm trying to turn those skis on edge, they are responding instantly and grabbing me solid. I also think the plate system of the binding versus a cable and the reel heel connection versus a shorter platform minimizes that twist this way. So it's like if I pressure my boot, the binding is coming with me on the NTN, whereas if I pressure on the 75 millimeter, the binding is going to come with me eventually. And so that was really, really kind of fun to, you know, just ski a bunch of combinations of stuff so that, you know, it could be kind of reminded of all the fine details of like what gear is best for a certain person or a certain day or a certain style or just a certain feeling. And I think, you know, when we are considering upgrading, we need to consider what are we upgrading for? Do we just want something new and shiny? That's fine. We got money burning a hole in our pocket. If you want to get new stuff, treat yourself. Or am I actually like, well, I wore these out. Like it's just time for new stuff. And then the follow-up question is, okay, if yes, I'm going to upgrade, what am I going to upgrade to? Am I looking for that extra step in performance? Am I happy with what I've got? Do I at least want to try it, see what it's about? You know, I think there's some other like ancillary factors that go into like what NTN does for me, but just that edge control was the most obvious thing. And like I think from an actual ski performance standpoint, I had that control that was just a, you know, a little bit more. Not bashing on anyone's setup, not bashing on 75 millimeter. I had a huge smile on my face, either on the NTN or the 75 millimeter. I was on the mountain making telemark turns on the gear I had on my feet at that moment for a couple runs, and then I was on a different combination of stuff. And then and it was an awesome day, awesome week doing that. But looking at the differences between stuff, like, you know, maybe next year is the year. You know, maybe you got through this season and said, well, you know, my setup was treating me just fine, and you know, now as we're transitioning into summer mode, we're starting to pack stuff up for the summer. Maybe we're dwelling on that idea of, am I going to upgrade next fall? Well, we can cross that bridge when it comes, but enjoy what you got. You will also probably enjoy what you got if you upgrade. As always, you can get a hold of us here at Freeheel Life on social media, customer service at freeheellife.com. You can give us a call, shoot us a text message. Again, like I said, we are in summer mode, so we have a little more limited availability and limited staff, but We don't do bikes, we don't do boats, we don't do golf clubs in the summer. Whatever your other ski shops do in the summer, we just do tele. So that's all we do. That's all we want to do. We want to be super focused on that so that we can provide people with the best possible telemark knowledge, service, equipment, products, all this other stuff that goes along with being telemark specific. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next time. Spread telemark always. We'll see you next time.